Hello guys and welcome to a new video on the channel, and this is a video I have promised to do quite a while ago. To be honest, sorry about that. I have filmed the video already quite a while ago when I've painted the miniature, but I had no time to do the editing so far because this is the most time-consuming part of a video project, and now it's done finally. I hope you will enjoy it, and the video is all about how I have painted Count Dooku from Star Wars Shatterpoint. So all of you guys who are into Star Wars Shatterpoint hopefully will like this tutorial, as may some of you have seen on my IG, on my Instagram account. I have also painted the Magna Guards, and I tried to achieve a fast and easy non-metallic metal style which don't lose too much quality. So feel free to check out my IG and the reel. You can see a little bit what I have done there. The link is in the description below. As usual, I don't want to talk too much, so I hope you enjoy the tutorial, have fun with it. Let's jump into it. First step is priming, and I'm using some surface black primer from Vallejo and spraying with my airbrush all over the miniature. After the black color is dry, I'm spraying from above with some cold gray from Vallejo Air Color to set the highlights and separate the highlights from the shadows. At the painting desk, I'm starting with the face as usual, because I like, especially for character models or miniatures, to start with the face, because then I can see how the character looks like, and it makes even more fun to paint the miniature. I use some rosé from Vallejo and just paint over the whole surface of the face. And sometimes I need to paint more than one layer to really cover the surface and really get a strong color tone. I do the same with the hands because they have also a skin tone, and you can see here that I go back to the face when the paint is dry to adjust another layer onto it. Next, I'm using some chocolate brown, also from Vallejo, and use it as a glaze and just paint over the whole surface so that the paint flows into the shadows, and I get already some separation between the shadows and the highlights. When the wash is dry, I'm using some pure brown rosé for setting the first highlights and define the face a little bit more. So as you can see, especially on the cheeks, on the nose and all the upper parts, the lips, which I want to have brighter in the end. After this, I'm using some ivory and mix it with the brown rosé in about 80-20 mixture, and go again over the parts which I have already painted with pure brown rosé, and yeah, to get them even brighter. For the hands, you can see I'm now really focusing on the angles and also on the fingertips, where I want to have the brightest highlights to also define the hands from Dooku a bit more. We have also some light which shines onto the neck, and therefore I'm also highlighting the neck. You can see I'm now painting over the parts which I have already painted brighter again, and this time I'm just having the mixture even more brighter, and I'm doing this a few steps, a few layers, so this is up to you. In my case, I did approximately 5 layers, and until I'm ended up with pure ivory for the final highlights. When I'm done with this, I'm using some black from Vallejo. You can use any kind of black you have, and I'm just painting between the lines from the face and the hair parts to just see how the face looks and how the skin tone pops out. So this gives you a good feeling how your highlights and your shadows are, or if you have to improve a little bit. Then I'm moving on with the eyes, and I'm just using the same black again, and as you can see I'm trying to set a dot, and I'm starting with the right hand side. For the other side I'm moving the miniature around to have more brush control, so it's quite important that the black dots are in the right position to move on. For the next step I'm using some off-white from Game Color Vallejo. Now I'm putting a small white dot into the black dot, and the goal is here to leave a black line around the white dot. And you can see I unfortunately messed it up a little bit because it is very hard to paint these small details on camera, but that's not a big problem because you can see I will show you how to fix it again. And you can see here I'm now moving on with a little bit a smaller brush and paint some thin black line under the white dot. Next are the pupils, and I'm now trying to get the right position for them and just setting or painting a small black dot in the middle or on the right position. And you can see I'm also struggling here a little bit because I'm also trying to keep everything in focus with the camera, so therefore I had to move back and forth to get it really done like I want to have it. And therefore I had to also paint over the eyelids a little bit again. You can see it really takes me quite a lot of time to get the eyes done in a good way and in a good look. Usually I don't need that much time anymore for eyes, but yeah, as I said, because of the camera and the filming, it wasn't that easy for me, and I thought I will show you how I fixed it and how I go back and forth to give you a point, and so it's also for professional painters sometimes difficult to paint things. I'm now painting the eyebrows, and I'm starting with some black and just paint over the surface where I want to have them and to figure out the correct size. You can see here now I'm painting with some ivory again because I thought I have to push the highlights a little bit more on the face, and therefore I went back and just take a few spots and painted over them again. Base color from the hair, I'm using some blue gray from Vallejo, and I'm mixing it with a little bit of black to use it as a base coat. And I'm just painting over the whole surfaces or every part where the hairs are and the beard. Then I'm setting some first highlights with the pure gray color and just painting over the upper strands of hair. Then I'm using again some ivory and mix it with the gray to get the color brighter and paint over the upper parts of the hair, and especially those which are close to the skin but without painting over the small thin line of black I have left between the hair and the skin. And I'm doing the same with the eyebrows, but not in that intense like with the hair. I just want to set a small highlight so that they still appear black. For the base coat of the cloak I'm using some Beastie Brown and some Mahogany Brown from Vallejo. I'm using them in a 50-50 mixture and I'm painting very wet over the whole surface of the cloak. To set some easy and smooth shadows, I'm now using some black and mix it into the base color and just using some wet blending technique to get the shadows done. And you can see I'm painting now with this darker tone into the shadows of the cloak. And yeah, because the color is still wet, I can now push the color a little bit around to get quite good transitions for this kind of miniature. After I have blocked the shadows in, I'm using the base tone again and paint again over the upper parts of the cloak. And here's the result after this, and in my opinion it looks already quite cool, and it was really a fast process and simple to achieve. For the inside of the cloak I'm using some Iraqi sand and flat earth from Vallejo. And again I'm painting over the whole surface, and this time I really have to paint some more layers to really cover the inner parts of the cloak. While I let the inner part dry, I'm moving on with the outside of the cloak, and I take some ivory again and mix it into the base tone to get a brighter brown tone. And as you can see, I'm painting over the upper parts of the cloak to set some nice highlights. After this, the transitions are not that good and the highlights don't really fit into the midtones, and therefore I made a glaze with the base tone and just glaze over the whole outer surface of the cloak. You can see the transition is really getting smoother now, so the glaze is also a very helpful thing here. To highlight the inner part of the cloak, I have also put some ivory into the mixture or into the base tone and just highlight again here the upper parts of the inside. Like with the outside, I'm also using a glaze here to get smoother transitions, and like with the outside, I'm using the base tone of the inside for a glaze. And for the final highlights, I'm using almost pure ivory. For the garment, I created a own purple with some sanctuary red and some darksea blue. And for the base tone, I also added a little bit of black into the mixture. After the base tone is dry, I'm painting over it with just a mixture. So just the purple I've mixed without the black. I'm painting over the whole surface and just skipping the deeper parts of the clothes. For the highlights I have put some ivory into my mixture to get the color brighter, and you can see now it is a little bit desaturated color, but I put the saturation a little bit back, as you can see here, with a glaze again with the base tone. And after this I am going back again with even a brighter purple tone I have mixed with the ivory, and really try to just paint over the upper parts of the garment here. I'm moving on now with the trousers and the boots, and for the start I'm painting them black. For the base tone of the trousers I'm using some blue gray pale, and I'm also mixing a little bit of black into the color to don't have a too bright tone at the beginning. And as you can see, I'm picking some spots and painting some lines, and I'm also leaving a lot of black in the shadows to don't get the trousers in a too bright tone in the end. As the whole trousers are painted with the first coat, I'm using some pure color from the gray and just painting over the same spots I have already painted, and leave a few parts of them. So I really just try to go over the upper parts here and those parts which I want to have the brightest. To get the midtones a little bit back again and to get a little bit of a better transition, I'm just using some black glaze and glaze over the whole trousers. Then I move on with my gray again, and this time I mixed a little bit of ivory into the color to get it even more brighter, and I set my final highlights on the trousers. The next part of the miniature is the belt, and I'm using some flat earth here, and I've already painted the whole belt in black, and then I paint over the black with the flat earth. To get some depth into the belt, I'm using some black wash. So actually it's a self-made wash just with the Vallejo black, and I put some water to it to really improve the flow and that the color runs into the grooves. Then I mixed some ivory to the flat earth to get the color brighter, and I'm painting all over the upper parts of the belt to get a really nice contrast. For the boots I'm using some heavy blue gray because I want to have a little bit a different gray tone as on the trousers. And as you can see, I'm using this time really the pure heavy blue gray, so it isn't mixed with some black this time. And I'm also painting more thinner lines and even less surface like on the trousers, because I want to appear them really in a darker and more black look. I'm also painting with a glaze onto the boots this time with some dark sea blue and black mixture glaze. This also helps to give them a different look. Then I mixed the heavy blue gray with some ivory again, and I'm really just picking some small spots to set the final highlights. I'm painting over the lightsaber with some pure white, and I do this a few times, so in some different layers, so that I get different shining from the surface, so that I have some more grayish parts and some more white parts. Then I'm moving on with some sanctuary red, and I'm using the red as a glaze and paint over the lightsaber, mostly from the bottom, so from the handle to the top. And I really try to do thin layers and a few of them, and I'm just trying to push the color around so that I have different red tones, so that it's not every place pure red, and I have some white shining from underneath, so that it really seems like a lightsaber and like the saber is shining. And you can also see that I use some white again and go again over some parts of the lightsaber, and after this again with some red glaze. As you can see, I've already started a little bit with the objective source lightning, short the OSL, and I'm painting also like on the lightsaber thin layers, and this time on the arm and a little bit on the cloak. Like on the lightsaber, I'm also looking for a very thin coat, so I'd really try to don't paint too much color onto the surface. And here we go, Dooku is done. I hope you have enjoyed the video, the tutorial, and you liked the miniature, how it looks. For a gaming miniature, I really like the look of it, and I'm very happy with the result. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please subscribe the channel, that helps me a lot, and I really appreciate it. Give the video a like if you have liked it, comment below if you have any questions or any suggestions what I should do in the future in case of tutorials and miniature painting. I wish you a good one. See you in the next one. Cheers, Jonathan from Wave Colors.